This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. Former Tasmanian Senator Jackie Lambie is officially out of a job after Devonport Mayor Steve Martin was duly elected to replace her in the Senate. He'll stand as an independent after being dumped by the Jackie Lambie network on Wednesday. Ms Lambie denies the fallout points to a turbulent party in the race for the state election.
They've got polar opposite views on key election issues, but Jackie Lambie and her JLN Lions candidate Michael Kent say they're tight-knit.
Don't worry about that. We'll stick together.
Michael Kent has been supportive of poker machines remaining in pubs and clubs, also firmly behind salmon farming, positions in stark contrast to the policies of the Jackie Lambie network.
I've been very honest about the policies. They're more policy points, discussion points. They are not locked in.
In a letter obtained by Southern Cross News, Mr Kent has revealed his position on poker machines isn't concrete, raising questions on who Tasmania will be voting for.
As I've said, with poker machines, all I'm interested in is to see the legislation before it goes up. What are they betting Tasmanian to?
This is how it works behind party room doors. What do you think they're doing behind there? They hide all their conflict and then they get told and dictated to. That's how it works. It does not work like this in ours. Ours is on mateship.
Mateship that's been lost with former JLN candidate and new Tasmanian Senator Steve Martin.
Voters will make their decision about the Jackie Lambie network. And knowing that they're not voting for Jackie Lambie, they're voting for a range of independents, any one of whom could be in the same position in some ways as Steve Martin is now.
The Devonport Mayor will now stand in the Senate as an independent. Richard Colbeck also duly elected to the Senate to replace Stephen Parry. The Premier today quashing speculation of party divisions of his own after revelations his Chief of Staff will resign following the March election.
All that signals to me is the Liberal Party ship is going down. The Chief of Staff is bailing out before he gets caught up in that mess.
Yeah, I think it's right for anyone to make a call about their future. That happened months ago.
The Premier soon to be without his right-hand man. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
In the midst of the state's fruit fly emergency, Labor is promising to beef up our biosecurity frontline. The party says it will recruit 20 new biosecurity officers if it wins power next month. But the Liberals say they're already putting more staff on.
Marcus Bransema knows firsthand how fruit flies are hurting his industry.
It's been pretty harrowing for the last couple of weeks.
His family's tomato farm is inside the Northwest Fruit Fly Control Zone. That means they currently can't distribute across Tasmania unless the produce is fumigated or meets cold storage standards.
Woolworths are currently getting us to send through to Melbourne markets. Our product is then fumigated and brought back into the state so that they can then put it on onto their shelves.
So far, 3 fruit flies have been trapped near Sprayton and 15 on Flinders Island. Both major parties agreed on implementing tighter restrictions in the control zone, but now the opposition is seeing red.
This government has a shocking record on biosecurity. They should hang their heads in shame.
We have in the past 4 years invested $4.5 million more, 20 additional staff.
Labor claims that's not enough.
We've seen poms, we've seen myrtle rust. Last year we saw blueberry rust and now we're seeing fruit fly. So we need a new government to turn that around and that's why we'll reinvest in biosecurity.
Committing to spend $3.7 million over 5 years, bolstering biosecurity. The announcement coming just a week after the Liberals made a similar commitment.
We've recently made an announcement that will provide a further $3 million. Labor are basing their own policy on imaginary money.
Over the last couple of weeks, one thing is for certain, and that is that biosecurity have been stretched. The work that they've done with us has been very, very good. It's been exceptional, especially under the conditions, but ultimately they need to be better resourced.
Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
Now to 2 personal experiences surrounding the current political debate on poker machines. An Australian mother shares the heartbreaking moment she contemplated taking her own life due to a poker machine addiction. And meet the Tasmanian mother relying on 2 hospitality incomes to support her family, which she fears are at risk.
Kate Saselja was hooked on poker machines at just 18 years of age, an addiction she struggled to shake living in the heavily saturated gaming suburbs of Sydney.
I would go before work, after work, on my way home, and started losing just so much money so quickly that it had real impacts on my self-esteem.
The Canberra mother endured 12 years of the crippling addiction, racking up a $500,000 debt alongside breakdowns in the family unit.
And I thought, this is just beyond me. I can't seem to get a handle on it. And I wanted to take my life, but I was pregnant with our 6th child. So had I not been pregnant with her, I just wouldn't even be talking to you right now.
For Kate, recovery began after an insight into the workings of the machines, saving her marriage and family.
Relationships Australia Tasmania, can I help you?
Relationships Australia says of their 300 gambling clientele, the majority are suffering from poker machine addiction.
We see clients that come to us and say, I've lost everything. And they're not just talking about money, they're talking about the people that they love and care for.
Jocelyn Beckery operates 3 venues in southern Tasmania. The current debate leaving her anxious about the future, which is why she's campaigning.
And we never normally get this involved, but it's personal to all of us. It affects all of us.
Estimating to lose up to 30 staff, she says her job is also on the line, with a family reliant on 2 hospitality incomes.
I've had people that have worked for me in excess of 10 years. How do I make those choices of who goes, who stays? Do I keep my job, but then somebody else loses their job?
Her staff are trained to manage problem gamblers, believing harm minimisation is key.
Nobody wants problem gamblers in their venues. That's not what we want. We want it to be used as a form of entertainment that somebody chooses to do. So yes, more help, more training for the staff.
And with the 2 major parties backing different sides of the debate, it's this 2018 election where Tasmanians will truly have their say. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
And if you or anyone you know needs help, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Tasmania Police is investigating a number of vegetation fires deliberately lit in Riverside overnight. Fire crews and police were called to this scene along the West Tamar Highway around 9:20. They were then called to another fire on Cormanston Road soon after. It's understood the second blaze caused $1,000 damage to nearby infrastructure. Launceston CIB is now investigating. The Queen's Baton has been greeted by happy crowds throughout the south of Tasmania today as it finishes its final leg of the state. Community leaders and sporting heroes proudly bearing the baton before the highly anticipated Gold Coast Commonwealth Games.
With a beaming smile, the Queen's Baton was carried by Kay Fox through Port Arthur early this morning. Then journeying through to Clarence, greeted by crowds wanting to catch a glimpse.
Here goes Stephen passing.
Boxing champion and 2006 Commonwealth Games medalist Luke Jackson kicking off the Clarence leg.
It's something I owe to the sport of boxing for making days like this possible.
Baton bearers chosen for their contribution to the community, amongst them York Mountford, who lost his legs and fingers in an incident a decade ago.
I went as slow as I could to get as much value as I could out of the baton.
Helen Harding, chosen due to her significant efforts with local education and fighting personal obstacles.
It was absolutely marvellous.
With the founder of Be Hers nominated for her work towards eliminating human trafficking.
We can all make a difference, and look, I'm a mum from Hobart who felt passionate about a cause, and if you feel passionate about a cause, don't feel overwhelmed, we can all do something.
Then the baton travelled across the river to Glenorchy, with local heroes the star of the show. Arriving at Bowen Road Primary, greeted by an excited group of students for a community celebration. As part of its 100-day journey across the nation, the baton has travelled through the north and northwest of the state, carried by 120 inspirational Tasmanians.
I think it's a highlight of one of the highlights of my life.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
And our reporter Louise Hedger joins us now live from Princes Wharf, where the baton has just arrived. Good evening, Louise. What's it like there at the moment, and how's that traffic looking?
Joe, firstly, it's a wonderful atmosphere down here tonight. There's crowds gathered to watch the baton come in as it finishes the final leg of its Tasmanian journey. It was carried across the line by local hero Campbell Remus, who makes teddy bears for young sick kids at the Royal Hobart Hospital. He was given a huge round of applause as he crossed that line this afternoon. And as you asked before, traffic is backed up. Some major roads around Sandy Bay, Battery Point and Salamanca were closed from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Understandably, that caused some significant disruption to people coming home from work or school this afternoon. But these major roads are now reopened, and that traffic is now cleared. Joe.
All right, thanks so much for that, Louise. It certainly does look like lots of fun. An ultra-marathon runner is putting his body on the line to raise awareness about mental health. Ben Hurst will run for 48 hours straight, hoping to break the stigma of mental health while raising money for charity.
People coming up and chatting about what I'm doing, and you know, if they can sort of go home and pass that on and start spreading the message, then you know, I've sort of done my job.
The 48-hour challenge will wrap up on Sunday. A look at the day's business and finance now with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have closed lower in the wake of another overnight collapse on Wall Street. The ASX 200 fell 52.7 points. Short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.77 US cents and 84.68 Japanese yen.
Cricket, and Tasmania is on the ropes in its Sheffield Shield clash with Queensland. The Tigers are staring down a huge deficit after being bowled out for 115 in the morning session. Bulls bowler Luke Feldman doing the most damage, claiming 6 for 32. Feldman was on a hat-trick after dismissing Matthew Wade for a duck, followed by Ben McDermott the next ball. George Bailey top scored with 25, while Simon Malenko managed to smash the Tigers' only 6 for the innings. In reply, Jackson Bird claimed his first scalp in the opening over, but Queensland remains well in control. Play continues tomorrow. Meantime, Clarence will be hoping to cap off a dream Kookaburra Cup season on Monday when the side plays for back-to-back premierships after finishing 10 points clear on top of the ladder.
I've got the same sort of motto we've had the last couple of years with Southie, just go out and play nice and positive and just back ourselves, back our ability.
But they'll have to defeat an informed University side who could be bolstered by the return of James Faulkner and Ben Hilfenhaus.
It's going to be a good contest. Our team's come a long way this year from where we finished last year, and massive improvement, and a few big name players coming in. It should be a really good game.
The match begins at 10:30 on Monday morning at Kangaroo Bay Oval. Aussie Alexandra Bozovic's run has come to an end at the Launceston International. The 21-year-old was knocked out in straight sets to Asia Muhammad this afternoon. In other games, Mark Polmans has progressed to the semi-final after downing Dane Kelly, while fans have been treated to an epic battle on centre court featuring the tournament's top seed.
He's Launceston's man to beat. Top-seeded Spaniard Marcel Granollers easily took the first set 6-1, and he looked set to breeze past American Alex Sarkisian when he continued his good form in the second set. But then the plot twisted, a David and Goliath battle as the lowly ranked Sarkisian fought back to take the match to a decider, leaving Granollers, the former world number 19, under pressure. The Spaniard managed to finally break serve, taking a 5-3 lead in the third set. But Sarkisian showed no signs of quitting. The relentless final game eventually hit a nerve with the favourite. The star-mate was finally broken, with the Spaniard emerging victorious.
Nobody wants to lose. He was fighting until the end, and was very tough match, and I'm happy to be in the semi-final, you know.
Meanwhile, Aussie Mark Polmans will face countryman Andrew Harris in the semi-final after accounting for Dane Kelly this afternoon. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian Formula One hopeful Alex Peroni has taken another big step towards following in the footsteps of his idols, signing on with Dutch team MP Motorsports for the upcoming Formula Renault series. And following an up-and-down debut season, Peroni says he's ready to find another gear in 2018. Finishing 10th overall in his first crack at the Euro Cup Series, Peroni did enough to catch the eye of several teams.
We had the luxury this year to actually, choose and, look around. So we thought MP was very professional. They're up and coming. It was their first year last year, but towards the end of the year, they were constantly on the podium.
Something the 18-year-old will be hoping to emulate for the Dutch team, already placing big expectations on himself ahead of his 2018 Formula Renault campaign.
You need to get good results. That's the way you go forward. So, yeah, looking for top 5, a few victories, and yeah, we should be good.
It also means relocating to the Netherlands and living by himself for the first time in his life.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit scary, but also good. I'm learning to cook and do everything by myself. But I think it's going to be a bit of scrambled eggs for a while. But
a small price to pay as the young Leadfoot works towards eventually breaking into the fiercely competitive Formula One series, and his new team could be the key to making it happen.
They've got cars in series above, so you could work as like a bit of a stepping stone. So in the series just below Formula One, they've got a couple cars.
It all begins with pre-season testing later this month. Meantime, the world's best sprint car drivers are preparing to do battle when round 10 of the World Series makes its way to the new Norfolk Speedway tomorrow night.
This is a strong field for World Series, and a couple of Americans and a couple of Aussie guys are rated the best in the world. So it's probably the best in a few years and putting on a good show.
Netball comes to the Derwent Entertainment Centre for the first time ever tonight when the Collingwood Magpies take on the Giants in a practice match ahead of the Super Netball League season.
We've kind of got to just learn about ourselves and see where we're at so that we can move forward and make sure we prepare ourselves as best we can, because this competition is so hard. Every team is extraordinary. So
it will be the first time the sides have met since the Giants defeated the Pies in last year's semi-final. The game starts at 7 p.m. Meantime, the Launceston Tornadoes' new American coach has arrived in the state. Derek Washington says he's made contact with most of the Torns players since touching down last week and is confident the team will have a strong year. This is Washington's first time as head coach after being an assistant and player at clubs in the US.
I've adjusted really well, but as far as a basketball piece, basketball is basketball. You got to put the ball in the hole, you got to score points. So, and that's what we're going to do coming this year.
The Torns have signed roughly half of their squad for the upcoming Siebel season.
Good evening. Hobart 23 today, Launceston 29, Burnie and Devonport 24. After a cloudy start for most of the state, it ended quite well with the state's top being 29 in Launceston. Liaweenie and Maria Island got to 22, Strawn, Lowhead and St Helens 23, Wynyard, King Island 24 and the Beaches, Grove and Flinders all reached 25. The satellite shows Tasmania wedged between two mid-level cloud bands with a frontal cloud band crossing south of Perth. Up closer, there was mostly convective cloud over the state this afternoon, more active about the northeast. Tomorrow we're looking at a prefrontal trough and cold front approaching Tasmania from the west. A ridge is also building over southern WA. On the water, northeasterly winds getting up to 30 knots with seas to 2 metres about the south and southwest. There's a strong wind warning current for eastern and southern coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point and for northwestern waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley. Tomorrow, Hobart looks like it'll hit 30 with a storm developing. Looking stormy as well for Medina on 29 and Oatlands 25. Stormy about the north as well with Launceston on 27, Devonport 24 and Liaweenie 20. Burnie likely storms with 24, Strawn storms 27 and Marrawar 25. The east coast is also looking like it'll see showers and storms. St Helens 25, Swansea and Orford 27. The UV tomorrow is very high across the state. The 3-day forecast from Sunday has showers contracting to the west, mostly clear elsewhere. Monday, showers about the west and northeast extending statewide in the afternoon. And Tuesday, showers about the northeast, clearing in the afternoon but looking fine elsewhere. Around the country tomorrow, a sunny one for Perth with 31, Adelaide 34, Melbourne expecting a cool change with 33 and Sydney partly cloudy with 29. And the temperatures are staying up there. Hobart currently 20, partly cloudy, Launceston 25 and clear skies, Devonport 22 and partly cloudy. That's all from me. Thanks, Jo.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for that, Candice. That's all from the team for now. We'll see you a little bit later with updates. Bye-bye.